our team selector, then we might have a bit to talk about in terms of selection ahead of this game. Caoimhín Kelleher wasn't fit for the weekend, Doyley, but would you be banking on him here, or Alisson keeping the gloves?
No, I think Alisson will probably have to play this one. Because going back to the game itself, I mean, the one thing Liverpool don't want is for it to become a massive goals fest. Because the more goals are scored, then immediately they'd lose the away leg goal advantage, and then let's just say Liverpool go 3-2 down. That's just not the kind of thing that you want to be happening. So Leipzig will just go for it. So it could end up being a fear. It's going to be a ridiculous game. When I say fear, I mean because I'll have to write a lot of stuff about it. So we could do with Liverpool going 3-0 up after about 10 minutes and then thinking, now surely they can't concede 5. Well, mind you, they nearly did Roma in the semi-final a couple of years ago. That was another one where it's like everybody's just top scoring, so I can just finish my stuff. Anyway, Alisson,
he's your goalkeeper. Everyone obviously in agreement that Alisson's between the sticks. Doyle, I'll stick with you then for the defence.
Trent and Robertson as the fullbacks. I'm going with Kabak if he's fit, which I think he probably will be, and Phillips, and everybody takes a step backwards so they can just run onto them. You'll see why in a minute.
Yeah. Anybody in disagreement with that, or Fabinho to play centre half?
Fabinho for me. I fear the pace of RB Leipzig against Nat Phillips, and Phillips has done quite well, but I'd be slightly concerned. I think Jurgen Klopp will probably play it a little bit safer. If Kabak's fit, I'd expect him and Fabinho. If he's not fit, I think you are then forced into Nat Phillips. But for me, either way, it's got to be Fabinho.
I think I'd go with Doyley. I think Fabinho needs to move into midfield, and the back line needs to just drop back a bit. We can't play the high line, but I think it's Kabak and Phillips for me. And I think Fabinho, obviously we'll come on to the midfield in a second, but I think Leipzig not really playing with a recognised striker. I think Dani Olmo is the one who plays in that sort of false nine, that fluid system that Julian Nagelsmann plays. I think if you do just take a step back, the battle may be more in the midfield rather than the centre-backs coming under scrutiny. I think, obviously, if they play a long ball game, then Phillips and Kabak are well equipped to deal with that. Leipzig obviously don't really play that way, so I think, like Doyle said, I think they need to take 1 or 2 steps back and aim to play in the counter early. But yeah, Phillips and Kabak for me with the regular fullbacks.
Yeah, no one for Ben Davies then. Anyway, right? Yeah, exactly. Him.
Actually,
he was on the bench for Spurs yesterday.
That's a different Ben Davies.
If Davies had been playing, I probably would have stuck him in ahead of probably Kabak. But yeah, he doesn't exist. So
I would like to see him at some point, but you are getting to the point where you think.
You think we'd all like to see him?
I think he's a decent player, but anyway, by the by, I can reassure people he does exist. Matt, I'll go with you for the midfield because you stuck Fabinho in the defence. So, what's your midfield looking like?
Well, Naby Keita will be in there. I'm just going to use him because he is fit, so I think you might as well stick him in. I would imagine that Gini Wijnaldum will be the holding player, and Thiago Alcantara, having not played over the weekend, will come in.
Doyley, what's your midfield?
Well, I'm having 2 sitting because obviously I've got everybody sitting back. So it's going to be Fabinho and Thiago in those 2, and fabulous Naby Keita. He can go as the one that's a bit further advanced. Okay,
fair enough. Marcus, what are you saying about the midfield?
I'm going to have Fabinho sitting with the workhorse midfield of Gini Wijnaldum and James Milner. No Thiago or Keita for this game.
Ooh.
Yeah, James Milner, solid shout there. Marcus, I'll stay with you then. Forward 3. Who's lining up there?
I think it's got to be. It's a tough one. I'd probably, if Firmino's fit, I'd be tempted to put him in ahead of Mane and play Jota, Salah, Firmino purely just for his pressing. But I'd probably stick Mane back in purely because I think Liverpool are best working on the counter attack. So I'd play Jota through the middle with Salah and Mane aiming to take advantage of those long balls and counter attack and play that I think will suit Liverpool if Leipzig do siege the Liverpool goal really.
Well, Doyley, what about your forward line? Because earlier in the season, November, Liverpool took on one of the hipsters' other favourite sides in Atalanta and played Jota, Mane and Salah and...
Who are you referring to? There's hipsters, because I saw Matt just started shaking his head.
Well, Matt did shake his head, but
I feel like that's a slight dig there. I feel like that's a dig.
At all. Atalanta and Leipzig are the hipsters' favourites, aren't they?
Well, as an Arsenal fan, isn't every other team hipster by comparison?
Don't think so. Right. Anyway,
the 90s have gone. The 90s are over. The 90s have gone.
Who are you looking forward to?
Right. I am actually going to reunite all of the greatest hits up front with Firmino down the middle, Saley on the right, and Main on the left. And as I say, Keita will be expected to run up there and provide them some assistance.
Matt, you taking me up on the Jota, Mane, Salah trio at the top end of the pitch or not?
No, I think Sadio Mane has to come back in, partly because he didn't start the weekend and partly because it's Leipzig and they'll be spacing behind. But I'm going with Firmino, and the fact that Jota started at the weekend means he will come off the bench in this one.
Right, okay. Interesting stuff. Right, goals. The order of the day then, Doyley. What's the score going to be?
Having said that, I think Liverpool will lose 3-2. There you go. And it'll just be like, just sending me crazy until the final whistle goes.
Who's scoring the final goal in that?
Leipzig, yeah. Liverpool will be like 1-0 and 2-1 up. And then Leipzig will get it to 3-2. And then they'll play, the board will come up and it'll say 31 minutes or something stupid like that. Yeah. And then the game will finally end.
Right. So on aggregate, Liverpool are going through 4-3 for you in that.
Yes. Good maths. Good maths there, guy. Good
Thanks.
Maths.
Can add two. Yeah. Marcus, what's the score going to be for you?
2-1 Liverpool for me into the next round.
All right. It's a 4-1 aggregate win for Liverpool. And Matt, yourself?
I'm going to go 2-1 Leipzig. I think it's going to be a very, very nervy few minutes.
Liverpool getting the final goal in that game, or?
I don't know. I hadn't thought that far. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? No, fair enough. No, I just want to know if it's going to be tension till the last, I suppose. With a 2-1, there certainly would be. Well, make sure you stick with us here across the Blood Red channel. We'll have Jurgen Klopp and the designated players pre-match press conference to come here on the Blood Red channel on Tuesday afternoon, as well as the training session Liverpool will be putting on. There'll be plenty of build-up across on the Liverpool Echo website, and then join us after the game for the post-match press conference to debrief and all of the reaction from Liverpool's second leg of their last 16 Champions League tie with RB Leipzig. But from myself, Guy Clark, Matt Addison, Marcus Banks and Ian Doyle, thanks for your time and your company. Bye for now.